Hi, my name is Angie, and today we are going to walk through another blog post sketch, and it's also featured in the 101 Scrapbooking Ideas and Sketches book on page 59. And we're going to walk through this one. It's really actually fairly simple. I started prepping my stuff and grabbed a couple mats, and it's going to be done fairly quickly. So I will switch over to my desktop view. And here's the stuff that I kind of sorted out for my layout. But again, this is what we're working with. And they showcased Lullaby Lane as an example here. But we are just going to get to it. I will also link the blog post instructions below this video in case you are more of a reader instructions, like step one, step two. But we will walk through this. So I have got some embellishments. I do have pictures, but they have pictures of other people in them. So I just grabbed some photo placeholders, a couple mats, stickers for my title. And I have 3 pieces of paper. For the most part, that is going to be the background of this layout. Is the white is going to be background, and I'm going to use white as well. And again, I'm going to kind of follow. I didn't really realize until just now. I'm basically going to follow the same thing. My white is my background. My blue texture tone on tone paper is going to be this navy that they have. And this green floral, I'm going to use this green polka dot. So I'm very much going to follow the color scheme that they did as well. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is cut the scalloped edge, and I'm going to copy exactly what they did. I'm going to use the scalloped edge as well for this 11.5 by 11.5 piece, which again I'm using as blue, just as they did. I didn't realize until just now how much I am truly following this sketch. Usually I adapt something or completely have a different collection. So I've got my scallop blade, and I want to make sure that my bumps or scallops are going on the outside. So I want to make sure when I'm loading this into my trimmer that the bumps and scallops are away. So I want to look at it and make sure that I have bumps on the side. So I'm going to turn it and know that when I cut, they're going to be to the right side right now. So for the first part, I'm just going to trim a little bit off of one edge, and then I'm going to measure the other way. And it's supposed to be 11.5 by 11.5. So now I'm going to take my paper and measure it at the 11.5 and cut. I'm going to do the same thing for the other sides, just trim off a little bit so I can kind of establish that scallop edge, and then turn it and actually measure now. Oh, wrong way. Turn it another time. I only turned it 90 degrees instead of 180. There we go. So now we have a 11.5 and 11.5 square. You do not have to use a textured blade if you don't want to. If you just want to do a square and cut it with your regular straight blade, that is completely up to you. And so now we've got 2 layers already done, like such. Now, I could just take my green and trim it down and put it right on top, but I am going to conserve a little bit of paper because I do love this blue. The back is a textured brown, so I could use that too. But I am going to gut this a little bit, and I think I'm just going to do an inch, which is just an easy number to do when you're gutting. So I have my straight blade back in, and I'm going to measure the edge on an inch, and I'm going to look at my ruler on the side here, and I'm going to kind of tilt my head and look, but I'm going to line up this white line with the number 1 down there. And of course we did trim this to 11.5, so I'm going to stop at the 10.5. So when I come all the way down. I'm going to stop at 11 and a half, and that's going, or at 10 and a half, and that'll give me an inch all the way around. So I'm at the 1 inch. I'm going to start at the 1 inch. And if you're off a little bit, that's okay, because the paper is going to cover it up. And I definitely a 1 inch border is more than plenty, especially for the size of this example, or how the example shows. They just have a very slight border of this blue, so you could get away with cutting more out of the inside, but 1 inch is just a nice easy number to figure. So now this I can save for another layout, for mats, for whatever else I need, but saving that scrap piece. So now we're going to set this aside, and we need to cut our green paper, and our green paper is going to be 11 1/4 by 11 1/4. And what I like to do is, instead of cutting off 3/4 of an inch from one side, which, because I know that that's how much needs to go, I actually measure it to what it's supposed to be. So if it's supposed to be 11 1/4, I'm measuring it to 11 1/4, just in case some of the paper sizes are a little bit different, maybe with how they printed it. And you can see this one's pretty much exact if I were to cut 3/4 off. But sometimes, especially with the cardstock, they're a little bit off sometimes. I've noticed that navy blue has a tendency to be bigger than 12. It's usually 12 1/8, which is okay. Those measurements are fine by manufacturing standards, but I do just like to watch it a little bit. Okay, so this is our main chunk. So now we can start layering it all together. And again, I cut a pretty generous frame to mat this on, but we are only seeing a little itty bitty bit of that scalloped edge all the way around. So let's get started. And I'm going to put my tape on this frame so I can see where it's going to go. Oh my goodness. Tape doesn't want to tape. Oh, and this one's out. No fear, I've got more standing by. All right, so now I'm going to center my green on top. And this one's pretty directional, although the circles have a little bit more pattern in terms of they line up here, and this way they're lining up there. So it honestly doesn't really matter, but I do think I like this way a little bit better. And again, just lining up, trying to make sure to center it all. Have equal scallops all the way around. I think that's about good enough. So now we can put this whole sheet down on our background. And let's get my white piece. And this is a piece from the inside of the top loading pages. So if you order those, you will have an abundance of white. And this one is going to be about 1/4 of an inch from the edges. And there is our background. And honestly, I will just say that is about the most difficult part of this layout. So now what we're going to do, if you haven't looked at the measurements already, we have two 6.5 by 4.5 mats basically here. You can trim down some paper if you want, but a quick way to get this layout finished is to grab 2 mats. They have a lot of journaling here, but I'm going to put 2 photos, And I'm going to do more of a title and embellishment like square down here. So I picked out two mats, and I think I'm going to do the brown and the blue in the center, since I've got blue around the edge, kind of having that blue there. And then I grabbed this, I had already cut this mat in half, but I thought this would be cute to do my title in stickers, and I do have to trim it a little bit, but that'll go down there. Maybe, I haven't decided which side, but my photos are going to go in the center. They are 6x4 photos to go right there. So I'm just now looking at this to see how I'm liking it. If I need to do anything else. I'm wondering about my blue with my brown. I was thinking to center this, but I also think, and now I want to separate the blue from the navy and have that tan in the center. And I do like that better. All right, so it doesn't really tell you how far away from the edge to go here. I think they're more going on this, which is a full 4x6 piece. I'm not doing that. Mine is quite smaller than this section here. So I'm just going to kind of estimate and go, I have it about 1.5 inches away from the edge, which is a little bit more generous than what they did. And again, just kind of eyeballing my journal box or whatever else. Maybe you have another picture that you want to put here. But I'm just going to go with this. And again, I'm measuring it at about 1.5 inches from the edge. And I'm just going to line up against the top edge of my paper. I'll move it down a little bit. See, there we go. And just line those ones up. And my photos will go here. And this guy, I think what I want to do is trim a little bit of the navy off. So I'm leaving more of the white. But I also just want to make sure, I'd actually prefer to cut off the bottom. So there's a little bit more blue. But I also just want to make sure that I have enough room for 2 layers of stickers to go through, and they do. So the height of our piece down here at the bottom, they're doing 2 equal spots. I'm gonna have to do a little math to figure out how much my little leftover piece will be, but it is 3 inches tall. And with this one, I had cut a mat in half, so it's at 3 1/4. So I'm gonna trim just a little bit off to the 3. And I think I might do it on this side and then do a little embellishment spot there. So I'm just going to line this up with my edges. And I did end up with a little bit overhang, even though I measured this to 3. My white piece must be just a little bit smaller. So I have a little bit of overhang, and I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that. I could have just left it completely off instead of cutting it to 3, but and then just trim the whole mouth. But this works. All right, so that's what we've got so far. And I have that, I just noticed I have that upside down. That's okay, because I'm just using it as a mat. We're not going to see it anyways. All right, so let's go back to that. I've got a little journal box, which I was going to put this little blue gear behind. I was going to put it down there. I might put it up higher, kind of away from the navy a little bit. So let's put that down. And we can put our journal box down. And now I'm going to do some stickers here for my title. And I need to figure out what I'm doing down here. So I still have more mats, but I set aside my what I've got for my collection. I've used some of this, so I was thinking of just grabbing a scrap, maybe of this blue stripe. I kind of like that. I'm drawn to that. I saw this one too. I think that's a, I mean, not that it's too much, but I not really keen on the navy next to the navy. It's a little bit too dark. So far I like the lighter. Some other strips. Oh, I have this one. That could be cute. But again, I think I'm really drawn to this one still so far. This one's still winning. And again, I'm not even sure what I'm going to do on top of it, per se. This one might be cute. This is a bigger chunk, though, so I might not want to trim that down. But I like that as well. Let's see if I have a smaller piece of that, because I kind of don't want to chop down this big piece for just a little square. All right, I don't have a smaller piece of that. So even though I did like this, I'm going to veto it and stick with this piece. So this needs to be about 3 inches tall. And again, doing some math, or just grab my handy dandy ruler, and we're at 2 inches. So it's got to be 2 by 3 to fit in my little spot there. And I wonder how wide this is. This is 3. So I just need to cut 2 inches off. And then that should fit there almost perfectly. We're not going to say perfectly. Nothing's perfect. And again, my white page is just a little bit shorter than where I measured. So again, I'm just going to trim just that little sliver off with my scissors. And there we go. All right, so there's that. And again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I mean, if anything, the textured paper actually looks fine. But what I was thinking is, where are my embellishments? Where are my embellishments? Good question. Had them set aside somewhere else. In the embellishment pack, which is where I got the little clipboard journal box and that thing there, there were some date things. Maybe the brown, that's a little dark. The teal, I'm not really using teal in here. There's these little note cards, but I'm already journaling up there. I just thought the little date ones were cute. But I'm not really keen on either of those two colors. I mean, maybe. We could do the brown. We could just maybe do the brown. And I did look through the stickers, and honestly there weren't really any stickers that went with my what I'm going to use for my photos here. My photos are my kids at church on Sunday for Boy Scout with Cub Scouts. Scout Sunday is what they call it. So again, it has pictures of other kids, so I didn't want to put the pictures here to show you. But again, not a lot of the stickers really went with my theme. I could use this little camera here since we took a picture. I could do that. I'll set that kind of up here. Or I could just do some stars. Or these little bursts, even though I think they're kind of aiming more towards 4th of July there. There's some more stars. So, okay, so I might just do a couple little stars just to add something. Or again, this, I think the textured paper really adds to it a lot. And the brown, I'm actually more into the brown now than I was initially, because I am using brown letters for my title here. So I'll add that. I won't do that on camera because I will try and get it straight, and that'll be a little tedious, but I will be cutting out that. But that is the layout. And again, this is a layout. It came out in 2022, featuring the Lullaby Lane collection, page 59. But that is it. Like, we are done. This was a fairly quick layout. Again, once you've, if you, especially if you have some matte packs, to be able to just grab those. And of course, as always with the collection, it is so easy to just grab and mix and match, and everything coordinates. So there you go. I hope you give this one a try. If you did and you want to post your layouts, you can join Angie's Scrapbooks. And I will switch you back over. All right, so there you have it. There is a quick and easy layout from the Creative Memories blog. And for my layout, I featured the Noteworthy Collection, which should be an evergreen collection this year. But I would always encourage you to stock up on whatever you need before it perhaps sells out. All right, have a good day.